Hi, I'm Martin in New Studios, Sheffield, UK, and today we're looking at mastering through tape and outboard. So today we're working on an EP by Niall Summerton, and he's got 4 tracks here, and they've been recorded with a really nice, organic, earthy kind of sound, and I'm looking to master them. So there are a number of choices we can use. I really want to preserve this kind of organic tape-like nature that he's got in his tracks. I'm going to play you a little bit of Mixed Up, which is the final track that I'm mastering.
The glass of the bathroom gives a fright.
Cool. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put some EQ on that before I run it through tape. Specifically what I'm doing is I'm adding a little bit of stereo bass. So that's in the side channels of the audio, but not in the mid channels. So this is using mid-side EQ. And the idea of that is that usually the bass guitar and the drums are usually kind of mono. I don't want to start making those too loud, but then in the sides we've got the acoustic guitars. And it's nice if I can make those sound bigger and bloomier. There's a couple of cuts here, and those are in the general stereo spread. And that's to take away emphasis there in the 200 Hz and 100 Hz areas where there's just a little bit too much energy. Next EQ, 2 specific spikes in the vocals there, which are mainly where the S's happen. And interestingly, we've got a stereo recorded vocal, so there's a double-tracked lead vocal, 1 pound left, 1 pound right. The left channel seems to have an S-ing problem, 4.5K, and the right channel's got the same S-ing problem but a little bit higher up, 4.8K. And so I've addressed those separately. With those taken out, what I'm going to do is run that through tape. Okay, let me describe what I'm doing here then. So the music's coming out of the audio interface, through the patch bay, and straight into the desk. And it's coming up on 2 channels of the desk, on which I've put some EQ. So what we've got here is we've got a filter on the bottom end, we've got a little bit of bass boost at 100 Hz. I've taken away some 200 Hz where it's a little bit prominent. Boosted a little bit of 3.3K and a tiny amount of 10K, so nothing too radical there. So we're now going to go over to the next chain, which is a G-Series SSL bus compressor clone, this thing here, and this is riding out some of the peaks. It's generally a little bit static, but then because it's a very dynamic mix, it's not a compressed mix at all, it's just riding out some of the big peaks. And so we've got about between 2 and 4 dB of compression at peak, but generally just hovering statically. There's a fast attack and a very slow automatic release on there. Ratio of 2, and I've got a side chain involved in this, so basically I've taken out a filtered bottom end so that it's not reacting to the real low bass. It's just sort of letting that not freak the compressor out too much, and it gives a smoother response from the compressor. So going out from the SSL bus compressor, we go straight over to the tape. So the tape speeds at the fastest speed it does, which is 15 inches per second. So it gives you the best, dynamic range and the best fidelity. And this then comes through the tape on the record head and back off on the play head, and then that gets recorded back into the computer, and then we'll have a listen to what that sounds like once it's captured back into the computer.
To see my face in the glass of the bathroom gives a fright.
Great, so the mix is captured into the computer now, and I'll show you what I've been doing on the computer side of things. F6 by Waves is taking out a little bit of the heavy bass, which you can see there. That's got a fast attack and a reasonably fast release. and basically that's just specifically targeting 100 Hz, which is where that big bloomy bass is really pumping away. So with that attended to, then we've got a denoiser plugin by Izotope, which is just taking away some of the tape noise that I've given to the mix. Next in line, there's a little bit of de-essing, pretty minimal. Have a listen to what that's doing. Next in line, a mouth noise. So this is just common with a lot of singers. If I just output the mouth noise only, you'll probably hear a few clicks here and there. There's probably only one or two in the whole mix. There we go. So what I'm really doing here is I'm trying to subtract problems rather than trying to build up an extra sound. I'm trying to take away anything that's problematic. So with those issues taken care of now, we should be with a level playing field. We should have the nice sound of the tape, nice sound of the SSL compressor, bit of EQ. Last in line now, we're going to have a little look at the overall volume. So what I use to sort my volumes out, I use the K scale, which is the Bobcat scale, and he recommends a K scale meter reading of K12 for most contemporary rock and pop. And that means that basically we're looking for these meters here to only occasionally just reach into the red. To achieve that volume, I've used a mastering limiter, which is the Oxford limiter, and you can see on this scale that's just plumping up the mix a little bit and boosting the volume till we get to K12. It's got a little bit of enhance as well, which tends to add to the sort of bloom, the density of it in a pleasant way.
The glass of the bathroom gives a fright. My mind.
So generally that's how I like to master organic sounding material. I like to use outboard, compression, tape, EQ, and then to finally crack into any of the specific problems using digital plugins and subtract any of the issues. Thanks very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed me mastering this track.
My mind